Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Genius Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm Shelby Joe Long, and I love to interview genius entrepreneurs that have created a business out of their expertise to inspire you to think a little bit differently about your business and what you do, because you can reach your audience with different messages. Today, I'm very excited to introduce to you Anna. Anna is going to tell us her story and talk all about her program and her unique perspective and what she offers to the world. So, Anna, welcome to the interview.
Thank you, Shelby. So happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, I'm excited to learn more about you. Anna and I shared the stage when we were at the TEDx event in Wilmington, Delaware, here at the end of April this year. It was an exciting time to get to meet each other, and we saw each other's speeches, so we know a little bit of background about each other. But Anna, why don't you tell us about your background and give us a 360-degree overview of you and your business life.
Awesome. Yes. So what I do, I'm a founder of SolJoy, and our company really helps these high achieving, creative, conscious entrepreneurs be able to 10 times their energy so they can really grow their business and flow. And ultimately, we're here to awaken world peace through inner peace. So by them having more inner joy and aliveness and vitality, they're able to then uh, scale their own impact and express what we call their soul's expression and embody that in the body to the world. So I'm also a black belt in Taekwondo and in Qigong. I'm an instructor and a singer-songwriter. So I've spent 20 years as an entrepreneur. My first was as a financial advisor. I was a broke art major with zero experience or connections and decided to, to go start a financial planning business.
Sure.
I mean, yeah, I had interviewed a bunch of folks that, their majors had nothing to do necessarily with their business. And it was a conversation with my dad. It was very random. He was like, you're really young, you don't have a mortgage or anything, so you have time to take risks. So that was part of it. And then I said no to Dale Chihuly, who's a famous artist, to go to Paris and help with all their glass blowers, being their project manager, which sounds like a dream job. But I literally told myself at that time, no to just having fun. I gotta settle down. So that was a weird impetus, but it's all part of the path and the journey to starting financial planning. And in 7 years, I sold the business to another advisor, hit my first 6 figures when I was in my early 20s, worked my ass off, burned out,
Sure.
working too much. And then in the next business, I was in event consulting and tech and running events, which also burned me out emotionally and spiritually.
That's a hefty lift for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of like four weddings at once, all on different timelines.
Right.
Yeah, it was super stressful. And then went on to the third business was conscious. Like I pivoted from event marketing to business coaching, conscious business coaching. And the thread here is who I worked with. That never changed. So I've always been working with conscious, spiritually and socially conscious entrepreneurs, global citizens, people who want to change the world and impact it. So the third business in conscious business coaching was like my first passion business, where now in the prior business before that, I was the sole breadwinner. So it was a very different picture as with the kid now and my son at the time. My husband quit his job. We had gone at one point from food stamps when I wasn't working as a stay-at-home mom to being in lots of debt. And then within a couple years after starting conscious business coaching, just complete 180, like
Yeah.
paid all of it off, put away like all of our emergency savings, college savings, like was done, not done, but put away. And we were both back at, our 6 figures for each of us. So able to move to the waterfront and all this good stuff. So all that doesn't really matter. What mattered is that I started being much more aligned to my purpose and being able to, as you say, be my genius and
Sure.
really shine that. So now it brings us to current day in the pandemic. There's another little pivot into
Yeah.
consciousness coaching to energy coaching. So still serving, business owners, CEOs, coaches, consultants, but now people, as you know, had to deal with a lot of emotional turmoil and emotional intelligence is a big thing these days, but also just managing your energy, not your time. Everyone's always like, I need more time. but you can't manage time, right? Time
Right.
is a fixed thing that everybody has 24 hours of, and it's kind of made up. It's just some incremental measurement for each moment, so we can be at the same time at the same place. So what we can manage those are energy, and so that's what I specialize in now, and specifically in really unleashing your own brilliance and transforming your energy so you can inspire peace in yourself and others. And yeah, that's where we are now. So I get to now resolve the whole thread of how the hell do I start a business and not burn out in the hustle and grind. And I used to say hustle and flow, but now I'm like, no, no hustle.
Yeah.
It really is like there's a way to grow in flow, right? So I'm all about flow state performance, like peak
Sure.
performance, but energy and being able to um, do what you love, make money, and grow and flow. While I'm a mom, I'm really active with my son's soccer. Like I took 10 weeks off of vacation last year,
Mhm.
so like how to really have it all work in concert together.
Yeah. That's eh, quite a journey that you have. Was it, I'm just curious about like that transition when you went from business coaching to, I mean, you're still kind of in the coaching space, but just a
Yes.
whole different thing. Was it the pandemic that spurred that idea, or had you were kind of reaching that burnout stage phase again, or was there just something like a light that went on that kind of brought you to that space?
Great question. So the pandemic definitely impacted things because overnight businesses were done, like
Yep.
huge contracts, 500,000 just gone.
Yep.
And so everybody was back to ground zero. We were all like just wanting to connect and be like, how can we help each other? And
Right.
like that. So I had already been sneakily doing energy coaching with all my business leaders because I found that outside influence, but then internally, um, they would be like, oh, I need to hire more people. I need to, it's always the same problems. There's a certain point where they have enough money, now they have no time, and they got to grow their teams and they don't know how to scale, right? So that I used to work right at that nexus point. And
Sure.
when you clear all the noise out and look at the root cause, it typically was energy related, like which was manifesting as a sickness or as a toxic relationship, or they want to leave their husband or whatever, or wife or whatever. Um, and I found, so I was doing the energy work already, just not calling it that. And then the
Mhm.
pandemic gave me the reason to rebrand as SolJoy, to unleash our soul's joy, and not stick just to business coaching, although that's who I serve.
So yeah.
So that's what brought on that particular shift. And that's just where I was. You know how people like, well, all business evolve as you evolve, and suddenly you're like, oh,
Yeah.
it's boring. I'm gonna go do this now. But yeah.
If you're especially if you're still in business after the pandemic, you have evolved, you have changed, you have altered in some fashion. So
For
yeah, that's
sure.
absolutely, that's pivot and then adjust. I'm curious, you say that you're an instructor, a Tai Chi instructor. Is that correct? Do you find my brother-in-law is also heavy black belt in the I don't know if he does Tai Chi, but he's in that space. And that has a big influence on his just approach to life and his personality and his energy. And it's just a very grounding type of thing. Do you see a connection in that space at all
Oh,
with the work that you
completely.
do?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I'm also black belt in Taekwondo. So
Taekwondo.
that
Yes.
is the art of fighting, essentially, which is very distinct from Tai Chi, which is a healing martial arts.
Okay.
So it's all about more internal, like you're
Thank you
using
for
your.
clarifying that. I wasn't aware of what the difference was. So, but
Oh,
he
great.
in
Perfect. Yeah.
Taekwondo, so
So
that's
when you're
great.
fighting other people, right?
Yeah.
You're still not like aggressive. You're utilizing energy in a way that, you know, it's like you don't have to be forward and aggressive. But
Yeah.
Tai Chi is all about literally body healing. And that's why it's recommended to a lot of senior citizens or people in injury and things because it's very gentle and slower. And
Mhm.
especially as we age, people can't keep up with the jumping, high flying sidekick, on the
Right.
hips. It's a little strenuous. So,
Unfortunately.
yes. And I'm still doing because I have a goal to live to 120 years old. And so my energy masters and trainers are very fit. It's kind of wild because there's people who can start yoga at like 90. Or there's a dude that won a bike race, like the Tour de France level at 105.
Wow.
And his body's like the age of like a 58-year-old kind of thing. So
Wow.
anyway, we can defy and youth, and that's a lot of our work. As an energy coach, it's a lot of health and wellness in that area. but
Sure.
not from a let's just get muscles and get thin. It's yes, that happens, right? But we want to look at holistically from the mind, body, heart, and spirit, and growing all of that together. So that's where the martial arts comes in, is it's a natural integration of mind, body, heart, soul. You can't just like do a movement or a form in Tai Chi without your mind being present. You could, it just looks really bad. It doesn't land
Right.
the right way. Or without your heart there, or without your spirit there. So like it's not about memorizing forms, but about integrating all of those different, I call them power centers that we have
Sure.
in our bodies, and then strengthening that mind body connection. Because for the most part, we're like hot-headed, stressed out, overworked brains, and we're cut off literally from the rest of our body. We're numb to it because we don't pay attention to it until it's broken or it needs to
Right.
be fixed. But what we do is open up, like there's a lot of blocked energy in the neck and shoulders. And so we do that so that you can circulate the energy. And so instead of a hot head and a cold gut from sitting all day and not moving enough, we reverse it so that you bring that hot core energy down into the belly, and then bring that cold stagnant energy up into the head. This is Chinese medicine, but being able to have a calm, cool mind, so we're not reactive and triggered, and then have a hot core, which helps your immunity, and there's a host of health benefits. And so whether you're a Navy SEAL or an Olympic performer or a vocalist, everyone knows your core, your lower, we call it danjon, which in Korean means energy center.
Mm-hmm.
That is your power source. And most people's are too weak, so they can't hold energy. They can't get good sleep. They have, insomnia. They have very many psychosomatic issues. I used to have IBS, right? Irritable bowel syndrome, negative
Yeah.
thought, do the runs. So anyway, all of that gets right-sided when you have proper energy circulation. So the Qigong and Tai Chi, I bring it in directly to the coaching with basic exercises for CEOs and coaches to use in an incognito way, so they don't look, it can be discreet.
Right.
Yet still be getting the proper circulation, because
Sure.
most people aren't moving enough.
Yeah. And people, at least in my perception, I don't have a stat behind this, but like you can have the best strategy in the world, but it's not going to be implemented unless you yourself can show up into that space and be able to be fully present yourself. You can't put your mind to work if you're not taking care of yourself. So at
Totally.
least that's
Yeah.
what I feel. Yeah.
Health is wealth, right?
Absolutely.
Watch mask on
Absolutely.
first and all of that. And so many, it's especially as you age, it just gets like the leash, right? It gets so short of what your recovery time, and you have to like really be on top of it, or else that from your story of like having to recover from what you went
Yeah.
through. It's essential. Otherwise, what are you here for? I mean, you
What
weren't
are
here
you,
for.
what are you,
I was like, you can't enjoy
that's right.
anything. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you're just bringing purpose to everybody. You're helping people discover their purpose and be more purposeful in their actions.
It's funny because that word comes up a lot, and we were reading our website, and the copywriters wrote that, and I'm like, huh, because then it comes like life coaching or something, which yes, we do aspects of that, right?
But it's
I don't help people find their purpose. So this was my TEDx talk too on Burnout to Brilliance, is you already have your purpose and your passion. You don't need to find it. It's already there. If you just it's like right below the surface, look at your online search history, look at the things you're passionate about already that you may not even recognize as a passion because it's just the air you breathe. Like you love music or you love whatever. So yes, it's not about helping them find the purpose because it's already there. It's more what we do is help them manage their energy so that whatever that thing is expressed fully in the world.
right.
So
Yeah.
it's embodying the energy. You know how people can be heady or intellectual about it, and then being able to then impact by expressing it in its truest form. And for me, that looks like singing songwriting, which I had no idea that's what it was. But for
Sure.
others, it'll look different. Yeah.
This last weekend I was at the event down there and I talked about intuition, and intuition's so like challenging. It's just challenging to like, how do you define it? Because it's different for everybody. And that's what's underneath the surface, something that's common sense to you, something that's like second nature to you. And so it's cool you help people, at least what I think, you help people discover that and harness that and perform at their highest potential and at their optimum level of creativity. And
Yes.
yeah.
And that's actually, we have like like 5 steps, right, to help people do that. So it's like the acronym ALIVE. And what you're speaking to, intuition, is the second letter of listening within, which is all about being able to follow your heart, your soul's guidance, not your ego, which is like constantly yammering, achieve this, achieve that, which isn't a bad thing. You can have the ego work kind of for the soul, for the heart, but you want to be intuition. I'm kind of using all those terms synonymously, but use the intuition and follow it, especially in those moments where you're like, what? You know what you're supposed to do and you don't want to do it because there's too much risk, but being able to take the leap and do it anyway. So it's really strengthening your relationship, deepening that relationship, and trusting it to make many, many leaps along the way as you navigate the unknown.
Yeah. Gosh, I love how that takes all of it just combines the things that it's like everything that you've done leads up to the purpose, what you're doing now to be able to do that for other people. You went through the transformation and you're probably still going through the
Never ending.
Again, we work in very similar spaces. We are constantly going through a space of transition to be able to help others discover that transition or ease that transition, the challenges of transition. I think that's pretty amazing. Well, tell us about your program a little bit.
Yes. So we have a few, but the one I'll focus on is, so Alive, I was talking about those 5 steps, and we have a program called Alive. There's like the introduction to it's called 40 Days to Aliveness, and that's college accredited. And that's like more of a taste of everything, but it gives you the best of the best things of we go through mind power, body power, heart power, soul power, and then integration. So for 5 weeks, like, in half an hour a week, you just learn some very basic, they're Qigong inspired exercises that allow you to grow each of those power centers. So for example, in your body power, what I referred back to as water up, fire down. You learn that principle more in depth. And then we have actual exercises. So for those of you listening, you can actually try this right there, even if you're driving, but you suck your belly button into your spine, for example. Even on a Zoom meeting, you can do it without people noticing, checkout line, etc. Driving is a very good one. And automatically when you're doing this, your posture has to come up, your spine gets straight. And as you keep doing it, if you're listening to this, you'll notice it gets really hot. Starts to burn. Yes, your abs are getting a workout, but more importantly,
doing it right now.
Good. Yay. But what happens, you'll notice, is all the blood and energy goes down because it's pumping, right? So the brain gets a break from all the thinking that's overheated, and then it comes down into the core to heat up. And then that circulates and pushes back the cold energy back to the mind, right? So just doing that simple exercise in that first week of the 40-day course is about discovering and practicing and building the habit. And then I won't go into each week, but the second week we go into emotions of,
I don't want to give away all the secrets, but
yes, of Chinese medicine. And then the third we go into, it's still, I would say the thread of all of it is mindful movements that are super easy for the busy high achiever, that you can see the result right away. Right.
Yeah.
So that's that piece. And then I'll just speak about the principles for Alive. That's like, after that 40 days, this is our 6-month program. So the A in Alive, just so that you guys can have a takeaway here, is allowing yin to your yang. The L is listening within, we talked about. I is inspiring soul first. V is valuing your fears. And E is energizing your daily flow, which I just spoke about with the water and fire down. So I'll just speak about the other 3. So A for allowing into yang is about, if you're already so burned out, you've met these people probably of like they can't even help themselves because there's so much in putting out fire mode. So this is about creating the structure so that you actually take space and time off. So I recommend a week off per quarter at a minimum. 6 to 8 weeks is ideal. I find 10 to 12 is a little too much. I'll take it to stay in the flow. And then the listening within, we talked about, is intuition and following your soul's voice, not the ego. And then I is inspiring soul first. And so this is like your morning rituals and habits that aren't just about check, I did my workout, check, I watched the news, whatever. It's about grounding into the thing that's going to replenish you for the rest of the day. Because most people don't know how to tap into their energy. they get drained by it, they watch the news, they're around toxic people, whatever, or they're achieving, they're like running on empty a little bit, so giving, giving, giving. And so this is a way to help you replenish, like the things I do in the morning keep me, for instance, just temperature wise warm for the rest of the day instead of always getting cold or getting cold hands and feet, which a lot of people get. You don't have to,
Yeah.
like, so there's simple things you can do. And then V is valuing fears. So instead of fixing them, overcoming them, vanquishing them, that was the old name, valuing them like little children that you bring under your arms. And when you can start to treat fears like that and realize they're not a threat, they're often a phantom fear, but they're just little kids wanting some love, then it has you want to approach fears because that's where the growth is. And then energizing daily flow then is keeping that going, having the healthy habits for that energy circulation. So we create the space with allowing yin to your yang. Then we have to go inside, not outside ourselves, for the answers, to listen within to the soul versus the ego. Then ground ourselves and deepen that connection to replenish our day. And then V, valuing fears, you're going to come up against life. Life's going to life you. So how do you deal with the challenges? Value the fears. And then E, energizing daily flow, makes the whole thing flow as a circle. So there's like an arc of energy that happens in the principles that we learn in that 6-month Alive program.
Awesome. Well, I want to ask you, where can we find all this information?
Yes, just my website, soljoy.life. S-O-L, no U, SOLJOY.life, L-I-F-E. And there's lots of free resources. There's our Energy TV channel on YouTube that you can go to.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And your last name is Choi, is that correct?
Yep.
Did I say that correctly?
You did, just like
Okay,
Joy.
good. But we can connect with you on LinkedIn. I wanted to ask you, I don't want to wrap up the interview because I have another question for you too. But I am a mom just like you. I have 2 young kids, 11 or not 11, 10 and 8. I see your son is 11. So when you talk about energy work, and I mean, you're an entrepreneur, you're a mom, you have all these things going on. Can you talk about the importance or the transformation that you've seen with other clients that are in similar spaces? Because as you know, we're pulled, and both my kids are in soccer, 1,000 different directions, and you have a home, and you have a dog, and you have multiple careers. You have all these things going on that tend to take your time away and burn you out a little bit. So tell me about, I mean, you have managed to create this balance. So I want you to talk a little bit about that, because it's very admirable, and you're inspiring others to think about how they spend their time. So
Yes.
or not spend their time, how to channel their energy. So
Yeah, good job. Yes. So I'm thinking of Bree. Bree's a client that, had a mid 6-figure business, right? And she had 2 kids at the time. She's homeschooling because this was during the pandemic. Had all that situation you just said, soccer mom, all of that going on. So when working together and using Alive, she was able to it's like tweaking the initial things in place. So each morning, for example, she was also dealing with a lymph kind of disease thing. And she came in like, there's no way I can add anything in the morning. I don't have time, or it's too hard, or blah, blah, blah. So we literally went play by play of what happens right when she wakes up, and was able to figure out how she can make sure to get the water without waking the kids up, and do her yoga and meditation with the husband right there, right? So that she could ground herself during the day. And with that, I mean, this was like a half-hour call. It completely changed her ability to manage her emotions. She was shocked. She was like, Anna, not only am I grounded, when my kids were being annoying or saying something, normally I'd kind of react and get angry, and I felt the anger coming up, and I could let it pass and be patient and respond. And that was a huge win for her, right? In addition to just having now this personal time that she could take that would work in the environment she was in, to do her yoga and meditate that wasn't possible before. So it can be very simple things that have big impacts, right? That go down the line.
and us busy moms think that I don't have time for that. So yeah.
No, there's always
when am I
something
going to fit it in
really,
my schedule? But you
yeah,
can.
really tiny things. Even if it's just going outside, this is speaking to the inspiring soul first piece, but do whatever you're doing, just do it consciously. So if you're eating breakfast, take 30 bites. I know it's long, but it becomes like a little liquid, and then meditate and feel it going down your throat. Just kind of slow everything down. If you go walk the dog, check the mail. Go slow. Feel your soles of the feet on the ground. Connect to earth and nature, right? If you're on the phone, like notice breathing. Like there's so many little things you can do in the moment such that your life is a meditation. You don't go meditate. You
Right.
already are all the time.
Right.
And in doing so, you're replenishing and recharging your battery, right? Your energy all the time. Then in this kind of scarcity mode of it kind of runs out. No, you can tap into boundless energy anytime inside, not reliant even on like massages or other things, which are great. They can still rely on outside sources. But when you can go inside and know how to tap into that, it's always there waiting.
I think we all need to be reminded about that. Because we just don't think about that. I think of summer and how summer is so open. I don't have the kids' schedules to worry about and all that kind of stuff. But then it's filled with, Mom, what can we do today? So
I'm
there's
bored. I'm bored. The
right.
screen time conversation. Yes.
Exactly.
You know what? Do I want to make my kid do? So he loves video games. I have him do because I'm not against screen time. Like if it's positive, have unlimited amounts. I was like, if it
Right.
makes you a better human being and a better soul, have at it, no limit, right? But if it's
Yeah.
like neutral or a little negative, like shooting people or whatever, a little different. So what I say is you have to do consciousness time, which for us is like filling his brain with like really positive stuff that helps, his soul and his heart grow. And then he counters that. So he has to do that first and his chores. And then he gets a designated amount of screen time, which we've programmed in, so it just automatically stops. For example, I don't know why I was going into that, but those are little ideas for working with your family.
Well, I think that's so important to think about and inspire. I think that's just inspiring to hear you talk about it. So you already told us where your website is, how we can connect with you. Any final thoughts? This is my final question to my podcast guests. Do you have any thoughts to our audience of maybe to inspire them how to dig into their genius a little bit more, and to, if people are thinking about creating a business out of something that they're passionate about, something that they love, what would be a piece of advice you would give them, since you have done the very thing that?
Yes. I'm I'm gonna be a cold water and I'm gonna say passion alone will not take you there. You
Yeah.
have to be clear on your why of the business, because and also making money is not enough of a motivation. You have to dig real deep and be very clear on why you're going into business. And it really needs to be a combination of expressing your passion to help other people, and let's say it's passive income or whatever, but that needs to be strong enough too, because you can't go off one or the other. You need both to be successful. So make sure that you have a mentor, a coach, a group, whatever will help you
Absolutely.
bolster yourself so that you're not alone and you have people in the same boat as you, so that you can really go after it. And I like to say, there's nothing. The number one thing I see in people in transition from corporate or from, next chapter of life, now an empty nester kind of thing, is they want to just focus 100% on their passion business. And then they just leave all the security. And so now they're in like desperation and growing it. So big piece of advice, don't do that. You can have both. There's a way to transition where you, like I did with Chris. So 3 times he tried to start his own business, making like 10,000 on his best year. He had a 6-figure job. And within 3 months of working together, we first secured 120,000 in contract work. Then he quit his 9 to 5, right, to focus full time, because he already had a year's worth like saved up, if that makes sense. So always build up your income with the job. I know it's double duty for a little bit, but there's ways to grow and flow with that, and then make the transition. Very
Great.
practical.
Very practical, yet soul inspired, right? You've gotta take, it's a yin and yang, right? So you
Yes.
a little bit of both. So I appreciate all of those things. Encourage the audience to connect with you on LinkedIn and to
Yeah.
discover your website and to understand more about your energy work. I think that's just incredible. And so thank you again. Any final thoughts to say to our listeners?
No, I'm just grateful, and they thank you, Shelby, for inviting me.
Of course. I just love hearing stories about this. I think it's so inspirational for our audience to hear, and that you're doing work like this, and that you can thrive in a business like this. And I think that's awesome that it's created out of your genius. And there you go.
Awesome.
And you're going
Yes.
to keep making an impact. So to all of your listeners out there, if you are inspired, I ask you to subscribe to this channel. And I also ask you to follow Anna and myself on LinkedIn, and we'll bring you some more stories to inspire you to think about your genius in a different way. We'll see you next time.
Awesome. Thank you.